Hello everyone. Welcome back to Markets Last Week. Today is 3rd September 2023. First we'll do a little bit of news and then we'll go to analyzing and looking at the Nifty charts. So Jio is to venture into creating an AI specially designed for the Indian audience. Adani Group is again under scanner for stock manipulation in its own stocks. Tiger Global has sold its entire stake in Zomato and this is their exit from it. Uday Kotak resigned as the CEO and MD of Kotak Mahindra Bank yesterday. Nifty again this week consolidated and ended mostly flat. Now, Jio AI. Mukesh Ambani has said Jio will venture into AI designed specially with keeping in mind the Indian audience. Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, had said that India lacks capability to design its own AI. Market says that this is Ambani's answer to Altman as challenge accepted. How well this will work out for Jio only time can tell. But if Jio Cinema app is anything to go by, then things are not looking very bright for Jio at the moment as far as technology is concerned. Now, Adani Group is again under the scanner. Organized Crime Group and Corruption Reporting Project has said that Adani Group used opaque funds to invest in stocks. This group is funded by George Soros. Adani Group has denied all these allegations. After the news came out, the stocks did go down a bit, but they seem to be recovering and mostly unaffected. Tiger Global has sold its entire stake in Zomato. This happened through a bulk deal. Most of the buyers are mutual fund houses, and it is a point to note that Tiger Global was one of the first investors of Zomato, and this is now their complete exit. Uday Kotak resigned as the CEO and MD of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Now, Joint Managing Director Deepak Gupta will be the CEO until 31st of December. This has mostly come as a shock to the market as people were not expecting it. Reasons for this move are yet to come out in open. Now let's look at the market mood index. The market mood index is now in fear. Last week it was in the zone of extreme fear. And Nifty at the moment is still consolidating. There has been no breakout either upwards or downwards. Now we'll move on to the charts. So now as you can see I have the Nifty charts open with me and I have Fakir again back with me this week and we'll just discuss what we think what's happening in the market. So on a broader view, this triangle that we have been in fact monitoring for the last few weeks from I guess 20th of July, the consolidation still remains. You can see here once we tried to break out, it failed. Then second again we tried to break out, it failed. It happened twice this week. Once on the 29th, that was Tuesday, and then again on last Friday. So the last Friday has still not failed yet. So we still have to see that if this is going to continue. But before that, we had a breakout last week, which again failed and it came down. Last week, when in this podcast, I was anticipating that we could have a breakwards towards the down also because Nifty closed towards the bottom, and I was expecting that if we break towards the down, the next support that I see is at around 18,650 and nothing before that. But that did not happen. It pulled back up, and right now it's still very dicey. Nothing to be said, but as you can see that the Friday close was pretty strong. So
Maybe the strength of the breakout is not something you are sure about, but the support really looks good now.
support is really good, solid. I mean, you can see we have taken this support around
Multiple wicks
one,
near the line that you have drawn.
yeah, one, two, three, four. If I can consider this five and six, six times this line has shown good solid support. So that is definitely there. For this, the breakout curve strength, we are not sure, but like we generally say, the closing of a Friday is very important. And if you go
Mhm.
by that logic, then the closing was something that was really strong. Friday was the entire day was in a uptrend, except the last few minutes, I guess, which was consolidation. What do you think about this?
Also, to note that we had some negative news on Adani too, and the markets have been able to discount all that. And within that week, you could see, and we all have noticed ourselves, that the broader market has been really bullish. You have also been following the news on bail, and that stock has risen by 30% in past week or so. The broader markets are really bullish, so I hope, and I think that the trend will continue on the index too.
But there's some kind of a negative news internationally, right?
I don't think so that there is something specific with respect to the developed markets. So are you talking about US?
US.
I didn't follow anything. Maybe it was Tesla deciding to slash prices again,
No.
and they have reduced the recurring fees that they charge on their software support on their cars, I guess. That is why I think that was the only news that I could come across on Twitter and many other platforms. So if you have followed, so Tesla S, that I think it was their most premium car, was around 120K dollars in December 2020 or 2021, and now it is at around 74,000. So they have slashed prices by almost 25 to 30%,
Oh, wow. No, I wasn't
which is
following
kind
this
of
news.
unexpected in the premium EV segment. No,
Okay.
I think this is all the result of the continuous interest rate hikes. So the companies are slashing prices just to ensure that on EMI basis the cost is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
You pay 2.5% on a 100K car, and you pay 7% on a 70K car. Come around same.
So the interest rates have gone
I
up to
think that was the
7%.
only news that I could follow. Yes.
Okay, that is big. And apart from that, last few times we have seen that, after we have a huge consolidation, Nifty looks like going up to break the high, but then it goes very close and then, retraces back again, like in this part, if you see. So similarly, we could see something like that also happening again, that we may have a breakout on a smaller scale right now, but then, it goes close to this high of 20K and then retraces back. And the consolidation can go on for months that way, right?
Yes. Also, we have a negative news on Kotak Bank, like you covered before this. So let's see how market reacts, because banking has had a tremendous, up move past 2 years.
Right.
Except for Kotak Bank, of course. If you look at the chart of Kotak Bank, it has stayed around 1800 for ages. I think it's been more than a year. The stock just, it's around 1800 or so.
Yeah, it's
And if
yeah,
I remember correctly, the bottom in the COVID dip was at around 10 or so. So the stock has been lackluster for quite a while.
yeah, it's I mean since 2022, 2020. I mean the high that it
If you
achieved
look at
on.
the price, it is still at around 2020 opening. If you look
Right.
at the yearly charts or something.
Yeah, can you see my chart right now? It is a daily chart.
Yes, 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 yes,
So
yes,
this is where it was in
yes.
2020 on the 31st of December,
Mm.
and it was around 2000, and right now it is 1700. So I mean, yeah, it has been a really bad 2 years for Kotak, which is
I
surprising
think
because everything has
it's
been
not
in.
very bad, I would say. Very bad in comparison to all the other index stock, but this is something that is pretty normal for a large cap company to be in. Although the
Yeah, no, it is
overall sector
normal
has
for
had
things
tremendous
to
growth.
be in, but this has been like a very strong bullish market since
Uh,
2020, especially
mm,
2021. So, I mean, that was something that it did not capitalize. If you look
and
at anything else,
now let's see how this news gets captured onto the stock.
what do you think about this Jio Finance ka stock? How is it going to play out? You have any views on it?
I no, I don't think is anything concrete here. What are their plans? What is that they are going to do? This is something that it started going up after the AGM wrestle by Ambani. Not sure how what this actually represents. When I buy Geo Finance, what I'm actually buying.
Yep, you're
Is
buying
it
a.
just is it just a promise that Reliance ka power and political and financial capital will be used for something good, apart from the BlackRock news. So there was no underlying business announcement with that BlackRock JV.
Right.
Just we just have this assumption that they will get into mutual fund business since this is BlackRock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is
So
true.
there is,
Is there any
maybe they
kind
are
of
planning to do some. Please.
business thing in Jio Finance? Do you know anything about the consumer lending or corporate lending or any kind of a lending?
Maybe what they have done is, and this is just me, assuming that if you buy stuff from Geo stores,
Okay.
can get a finance option.
Okay.
Some of those financing is done internally by Geo
Okay.
or the store itself. So maybe that part of the business is being moved into this. Apart
But that
from
is a
this, I
very
don't
small
think they
segment
have.
of the market.
Yes, and I don't think Reliance as a company has had much exposure to the financing or the capital market before. So that is the only thing that I can think of. They can remotely, have a connection with the finance market wherein they are financing the you know financing options for consumer products
Mm-hmm.
like mobile phones, laptops. So apart from that, I don't think they have any exposure. So that might have moved into this. Mm,
Okay.
is it something that is worth so much? Little, I think the market cap of this company is at around 2 lakh crore or something.
Yeah. And even when the downmove was there, I myself was expecting the prices to go down to below 100 before I see a buying strength. But like you said, then the AGM happened and then it started moving up. And what is your opinion on this whole AI thing? I mean, I've been using Geo Cinema app, and I think you must have also been using it. And the technology sucks a lot, so I really don't know how they plan to pull off something like artificial intelligence. But then, when you have deep pockets, you can hire the best minds.
Can have the best minds, of course, but then you cannot have a best product always with the best minds. So innovation is something that we always lack in. It's just funny that we are again going to copy something that has already been done
Yeah,
instead of taking a challenge of something that has already been done by, say, for example, many companies in the ecosystem. Now the generative AI is common. You have many options for generating images, although the performance varies from provider to provider. But this is something that is there in the market. So if you are really planning to innovate, then why would you say that I would just create something that has already been created? Can,
r-
of course, with the capital, and if you want to throw money as something else, something that I can still not think of,
right.
something that we would not have thought back in 2019 that there would be such huge development in generative AIs. Then if I type in the description of the image, I would get an image created for me in various different art styles.
Yeah, that is true. And also, there
So
is a big difference between people like Sam Altman, who is himself a innovator, and somebody like Mukesh Ambani, who is just a businessman making claims. Because when an innovator is making something, it is his own drive that keeps him up. But when a businessman is doing and making claims like this, that comes mostly from the power of money more than the knowledge about the product and how things will play out for the product.
of
So
course,
that
if you talked about Geo Cinema, they have the content, they have everything. But if you try to stream anything on Netflix and if you try to stream anything on Geo Cinema, there are small differences with respect to experience, but they sum up the sum of those experiences is pretty different. So if I still go on and, say, for example, keep my Geo Cinema tab active for a while and come back and start playing again, it won't start from the timestamp where I
right.
left. So
Yeah, there have been a
there
lot of
are
problems.
many small things that, user interface UIs are something. I'm not from a tech background, but
Yeah,
I
it
can
is
see that
UX,
this is
user
something that has been
experience,
done already
right, and not copied well.
and, and not copied well. So there has been some rumors that most of the team at Geo Cinema is ex Hotstar.
Okay.
This is again a rumor and not for something fact based. So
Hmm.
still, they have not yet caught up with the product line and everything.
Okay.
But
And
then again, if Reliance really wants to innovate, they should think of something else than generative AI.
yeah, because open is already there. So I mean, if somebody,
But there are many. There is OpenAI. There is Bard. There is this Microsoft and Facebook has been partnering too with for an open source
mhm.
AI platform. So, I mean, you and I cannot expect a company like Reliance to compete with the combined
Yeah,
power of
more
Facebook
technology
and
oriented. It's
Google.
like Google coming into selling oil in India, right? So they are going to fail.
Yes,
Even they are such a big company, it could be something like that. That could backfire. Very true. And now, do you want to check out the Adani thing?
I mean this has been happening for years now,
Right.
and the stock has had a
Lit-
good fall from 4K levels, and it has been consolidating for a while. Although still, few of these stocks like Adani Enterprises and Adani Ports have recovered a lot from the lows that panic lows.
Yeah, they have recovered a
But
lot, and I mean, but for a lot of investors, it must have come as a shell shock. People who bought at 4,000 and stuff. I mean, we do not know if how many of them are still holding it. But then, I mean, there are definitely people who have gotten that, and they're just bag holding it, hoping that it will again go back to its glorious days, which kind of seems difficult. And the fact with Adani is that 90% of people know that there is a problem. Uh, I mean, literally, even the investors, I mean, they are very sure that there is some kind of a manipulation, and but then it is
look
what
at Adani ATGL. I mean, anyone who believes that there was no problem here really
needs
is
a
being
fact check.
ignorant.
Yeah,
If you look at this monthly chart now, forget the depth. Look at the monthly chart.
yeah.
The way it pumped from 500 to 4K, and now it is now back worth 600. If you
Hmm.
believe that this was this, then there's nothing wrong here. Then I'm not sure if
Right,
you are right to be participating in the markets. Only reason I guess Adani Ports and Adani Enterprise hadn't had that this kind of fall is at least they have some underlying business, and also they're part of index. So maybe there is some support coming in from SIP players and everything.
yeah. And Adani Port is a lot asset based, so they have those assets in place.
Hmm.
So this is something
And
that
then again, if you remember DHFL, they all had loans at place.
hmm.
That those loans were given to fraudulent entities. Maybe few of those stuff didn't matter much. So if I am I would worry if I am buying index, if I have an SIP on an index fund, and then I know very well that my money is going into buying Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises.
Right. But it is an index, right? These both companies are just Adani A&T.
I think Adani Ports is an index. Not
Oh,
sure about Adani Enterprise,
okay.
but at least these two companies have the relevant market cap and the business structure to be part of index. If not in Nifty 50, then definitely Nifty 500 or Nifty 100, and people do buy those kind of funds too.
Right.
What I didn't follow the news.
The news is
So
basically that
yes,
there is a company which is supposedly funded by George Soros, which does this kind of corporate crime investigations and reporting for internationally. So they have come out with a report which basically says that Adani Group has been buying stocks and manipulating them through some overseas uh, opaque fund houses. So that is the news. So it is again the same news that basically they are manipulating their own stocks by buying it through fund houses which are located internationally. So that is the news that came in. Adani has basically denied all these allegations, and he says that ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया है. But uh, the news is still there. So this affected a bit on I think Monday when the stock started a bit of downwards move, but then I mean by the end of the week it vanished. The news vanished. So right now we see again them back to their normal flow. That was before this news came out.
So I don't think that news is new. I think Hindenburg covered most of the part wherein they mentioned that there has been some round tipping and they are, buying products from their own subsidiary and then again showing that as revenue and then buying back their stock, cornering the open float. That is why these companies have this good of a market cap, because there is the demand for shares are high since they are part of index. Supply is artificially controlled by the promoter entities themselves. We are still waiting for the SEBI to come up with something concrete. The last report that they filed at Supreme Court was just some basic violation, regulatory violations, and some. So they have. So the regulators have phased away from answering any of these concerns by Hindenburg. And I guess there was some news wherein the people were expecting these kind of news coming in. I'm not sure, good boy, if you remember that. I saw a tweet which basically said that expect a kind of bear attack on Adani stock
Yeah,
sometime soon.
I read about this particular tweet after the actually news came out about some people going back and saying that we had predicted that there is going to be a news coming out on Adani Group. So yeah,
I
that
think now this is up to the regulators, because the concerns, like you mentioned, like everyone knows that there is some manipulation or wrongdoings here. See how the regulators, how the current regime, not just regulators, answers all these queries, resolves all these concerns. Because in a way, what this government has been about is corruption and making sure that the environment is investor friendly.
yeah,
And if you have a large conglomerate openly manipulating markets and not
then
following the basic regulations, so let's see how this goes.
most probably as far as my guess goes, I mean this is going to die down as of now. Maybe very much in the
I think that since the revelations are nothing new, there is no evidence backed stuff. So what happened with Hindenburg is that they came up with this elaborate report. And the reply that Adani Enterprises came in was just pointed out on the number of pages it had, not the quality of content. If you remember, the reply to of Adani Enterprises was just basic nonsense. The report that Hindenburg published were very well listed, very well researched points. So the pages that Hindenburg had were for the reason, while the pages that Adani Enterprises had were just based up made up facts. Just copy pasted their annual reports onto that reply.
but they I think they have already been given a clean sheet, right, by SEBI, as far as I remember. There was an investigation, and the news came out recently which said that we did an investigation and we found nothing wrong with the Dani groups.
I mean, I think what they did was they did this. They kind of monitored all the listing requirement for their offshore funds. I think what the market wants, or what Hindenburg has mentioned, is that the offshore funds that own around 20 to 30% of Adani stocks are basically, these funds can be tied back to the Adani. So this is a kind of a listing requirement criteria wherein you have to have this much of open float. So
Hmm.
what that SEBI has done is basically they say they what they could establish was that these entities were not related, maybe. So but the Hindenburg report had many points, and like this report that recently came in where they have inflated their export orders and all the other stuff. And recently I read a news wherein Gujarat government mistakenly paid apparently 6,000 crores to Agni Power.
Okay.
So if you remember, what happened in Harshad Mehta times was that the money was eventually paid back. But then again, it was not something that could shifted from, say, for example, there is a PM cares fund. So I cannot go again and borrow from PM cares fund without anyone knowing and then return back that money. So it's that how it's supposed to work. So let's see how this goes.
Hmm.
But yes, you are right. I don't think anything is happening. We
Yeah,
have an election coming up, so this can heat up.
yeah, but this is not really a issue that is an issue of
Common
the
man.
vote bank folks, right? Because this is something that is at a very high level, and most people are more concerned about roti, kapda, and makan, and what the freebies they can get.
Our attention span to content or to revelations like this has been low and has recently touched all-time lows after the prevalence of all the short market, short reels and
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
We really do not want to pay attention to complex topics like these.
Right. Nobody has a time
And the
for that.
regulators has been behaving this way too. Let's see how this goes.
Yep.
And we have another news for Zomato too, right?
Yeah, it's mostly a very simple news. Tiger Global was one of the first investors, the big time investors in Zomato, and last week they completely walked away from Zomato. They sold all their entire stake. So the love story between Tiger Global and Zomato is finally over for now. This has been it went through a bulk deal, and there have been a lot of fund houses which bought it. Axis is one of them. Now, the question basically remains that one of the first investors and somebody who saw a very good business in Zomato walking away. How do you perceive that? Do you think that this is kind of indication that the business model or the growth story of Zomato could be nearing an end? And do you?
Not just about growth story, it's more about valuation. So recently many of the fund houses have been exiting or have had this opportunity of liquidity that has come in. I sold a lot in 2022, but we continued on breaking the highs. I think
Mhm.
it's just a it is just a factor of that we have liquidity. They are getting good valuations to exit. And also, if I believe
But
correctly, the
they are
issue.
getting good valuations, as I understand. But generally, if you are getting good valuations, but you still believe in the business, maybe you do kind of a partial profit booking, right? But in this particular case, Tiger Global has chosen to completely get rid of its entire stake in Zomato at the current valuations. So that is also an important point that.
Although the markets for online delivery and stuff has stagnated too to an extent. Maybe yes, they don't believe in the business and the current model at place. But I don't think Zomato is going anywhere. But their profitability and how they plan to make money is something to think upon. Will they ever be profitable from that sense?
Growth wise,
The
they have somewhat
business
reached
or
the
the
peak.
business or the ecosystem that Zomato and Swiggy are in will stay, but how they are going to make money is something I'm not sure.
Yeah, the business is going to stay, but it has also reached the peak, right? I mean, there is very little space to go up from here unless and until they venture into something new. And yes, profitability is something that has to be worked out.
Yes, okay. I guess that is why maybe they exited. And since I think the IPO price for this was at around 100 or 50, I don't remember correctly, but they are exiting below the not the listing price. Listing was at around 71, is it 120? But I think the IPO price was at around 70 or 50, 60 something. So yes, them exiting at IPO price is concerning.
Yeah,
I don't think people are worried about that anymore. About major investors exiting, like you saw in ITC. So FII is holding in ITC reduced a lot, and then it continued the pump.
right.
They were selling, the stock was muted and consolidating, but as soon as they had, reduced their position, the stock almost pumped by 100%. It's very unlikely for a large cap like ITC to go up by 100%. So let's see how this goes. Then again, ITC has a very underlying strong business, and Zomato is still figuring to make the EBITDA positive, not adjusted EBITDA. they have this, you know, these startups or new age organization. Earlier it was earning before interest tax deduction. Now they have earning before interest tax deduction and employee bonuses and
Right.
everything else.
Earning before I make any expense.
So let's see how this goes. But yes, good news for FIIs in a way. Then they are getting this much of liquidity that they can exit almost all of their holdings.
Right.
How much in percentage was it?
I have no idea about the percentage, but it was something around 1200 crores or something like that.
Only 1200 crores. So maybe they have had exited majority of their investment.
Yeah, I mean they have been offloading. I mean they offloaded also when they went public. So they have been.
Okay.
So I mean at every step when a new investors come in, the old investors offload some of their stocks. So
Of course.
artificial profit bookings and stuff. So this was the final deal. I think that
So
should be it
you
for
have
this week.
you
What
yes. So you have Zomato, Nykaa, and Paytm, the
Nike.
startups listed.
So no, there are a
And
lot many now. There is Zomato, there is Nykaa, there is Paytm, there is Ease My Trip, there is.
okay,
I mean, there are a lot many that we don't even know about,
and we don't even ever try to trade them. Anyways,
or use them for that matter.
we have had a lot of topic for this week.
Okay, I think let's call it the end now. So I guess that is it for this week, and thank you everybody for tuning in, and whoever has had the patience to listen till the end. And please do not forget to like and subscribe and share this if you did like this content. Thank you. Bye bye.